My name is Tatina Makanga. I represent Election Resource Center, which is a member of the Election Situation Room Steering Committee.
Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Frances Lovemore. I work with Counselling Services Unit and we're a member of the Steering Committee.
Good afternoon, my name is Redai Chifunde Baba. I'm the Zimbabwe Election Support Network and the member of the Steering Committee and of the conveners of the Steering Group.
Good afternoon, Nigel Nyamutungu is my name, Media Alliance of Zimbabwe, member of the Steering Committee.
Good afternoon, my name is Lovemore Abiao from the National Association of Societies for the Care of the Handicapped. I'm also a member of the Steering Committee.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justina Mukoko. I'm from the Zimbabwe Peace Project, a member of the Steering Committee of the Election Situation Room.
Thank you very much. We'll just get ahead with our pre-election press statement report. Mrs. Baba, can start with the introduction.
Thank you very much, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon once again. This pre-election statement brings together the most important findings from the 41 member organizations of the Election Situation Room, ESR, since the beginning of the campaign. The Election Situation Room is a platform of over 40 civil society organizations set up to report electoral malpractices and any observation on the electoral processes as they've been unraveling. The Election Situation Room was established in the beginning of June and it was subsequently launched on the 27th of June 2018. It was established to provide a coordinated mechanism for receiving and sharing election information, as well as provide mechanisms for redress for reported violations. The main purpose of the Election Situation Room is to provide information to citizens and electoral stakeholders to enable them to evaluate the fairness and credibility of the 2018 harmonized elections. The Election Situation Room has enhanced the monitoring of the political environment and a response to, as well as advocates to resolve areas that need urgent attention during the pre-election period, election day, post-election period as well. This pre-election statement brings together the most important findings from the member organizations of the Election Situation Room since the beginning of the electoral campaign process. In terms of the political environment, the campaign has been largely relatively peaceful, apart from the isolated event of an explosion at the ZANU-PF rally in Bulawayo. We also noted that as we move towards the election, incidents of intimidation are on the increase. And in terms of the reported reports, these incidents are in form of vote buying, destruction of campaign materials, and hate speech. Moreover, there have been reports of misuse of administrative resources in favor of the ruling party. As a result, the Election Situation Room calls for political parties to send strong messages to their supporters to be peacefully in the spirit of the Code of Conduct and the National Peace Pledge that they have signed, and for the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to increase and to take more proactive role in ensuring transparency, particularly over the tallying of results in all the electoral processes.
We'll now go through the details. Yes, ma'am.
Nomination process. The nomination court sat on Thursday, the 14th of June 2018. ZEC convened a stakeholder engagement meeting to provide information to aspiring candidates and political parties on the Code of Conduct, nomination court requirements, procedures, and prohibited symbols. The nomination processes were generally well conducted with a few disruptions, mainly between candidates who disputed the results of the party primaries. However, the voters' roll was not made available to political parties prior to the sitting of the court, which meant that aspiring candidates were unable to check that they were correctly included on the roll beforehand. This led to the disqualification of at least 6 candidates on the grounds that their names were not on the roll or were incorrectly captured on the voters' roll. The voters' roll is a critical document in the nomination process, and as such, the ESR recommends that in the future, it needs to be availed to political parties before nomination. The representation of women. The ESR notes with concern that women representation in the 2018 harmonized elections has decreased compared with previous elections. Only 15% of National Assembly candidates are women, and there is only 13% of female candidates vying for local authority representation. This low participation is the result of a hostile operating environment, evidenced by higher levels of intimidation directed against women standing as candidates, and a lack of regulatory incentives for political parties to promote women's candidature. Women candidates and those in positions of authority, such as the chairperson of ZEC, have been trolled in print, broadcast, and particularly social media. This does not provide for a level playing field and does not allow for inclusive participation. The ESR urges citizens to respect the rights of women and to desist from all types of abuse in all forms of media.
Voters' roll. ZEC conducted a voters' roll audit of the 2018 voters' roll through a computer test for duplicates, a person-to-list audit to determine completeness, and a list-to-person audit to determine accuracy. The audit showed that the voters' roll passed the test of completeness, comprehensiveness, and accuracy. There were, however, a few problems with the voters' roll that do not amount to disenfranchising citizens. Notwithstanding, the ESR is concerned at the delays in availing the voters' roll to stakeholders and the fact that the changes continue to be made and stakeholders are unsure of when and if the final version will be issued to them. This creates unnecessary suspicion and mistrust among political parties in particular. Intimidation. Reports received from ESR members have shown while overt violence is increasing to date, intimidation is also rife across the country. Intimidation has taken many forms, including prevention of people from attending rallies, prevention of people leaving party rallies, and threats on how one should vote with the idea that the voting will not be secret. Much of the intimidation reported has been by traditional leaders alongside allegations of military activities in communities, which are reminders of the June 2018 runoff elections. Campaign SMS messages are a worrisome development and a classic case of intimidation. Many citizens have received campaign messages on their phones with specific details of their constituencies and their wards from ZANU-PF. This has caused citizens to wonder how one party had access to accurate personal information on their registration and has increased fears and feelings of intimidation. Lack of tolerance. The ESR has observed lack of tolerance for other parties, which resulted in increased cases of pulling down of posters of aspiring council, National Assembly, and presidential candidates. The political parties signed the Peace Pledge, and this was a commitment to tolerance, respect for diversity, and peaceful elections. The pulling down of posters is contrary to the values and principles of the Peace Pledge launched by the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission.
Misuse of administrative resources. There have been many reports by member organizations of administrative resources having been put at the disposal of ZANU-PF, such as government vehicles being used for campaigning, government officials speaking at campaign events, and candidates campaigning at government events. This unleveled playing field is further compounded by the fact that ZANU-PF is able to outspend all other parties substantially, and state media coverage is overwhelmingly biased towards them. The biases in the playing field undermine citizens' ability to have a free choice in the election. On postal votes, there have been allegations that some of the postal voting organized for police will be on duty away from their regular station on election day has been conducted under the close supervision of their commanding officers, and that secrecy of the vote has not been upheld. The election situation room is concerned by the lack of transparency of ZEC through its failure to notify contesting parties, observers, and the public regarding the postal vote procedures. The lack of transparency and allegations of malpractice accounts for the mistrust about the integrity of the whole electoral process. The contradictory statements by ZEC and the police have not helped the situation. Secrecy of the ballot. Issues around the secrecy of the vote have been an area of concern in the pre-election period. The secrecy of the vote is protected by the Constitution and the Electoral Act. The changes in the ZEC polling manual on the layout of the polling station and the positioning of the polling booths compromise the secrecy of the ballot. This does not help build citizen confidence in a country that has a history of intimidation, fear, and where citizens do not have confidence in secrecy of their vote and the electoral process in general. The credibility of an election process hinges on the universality of one man, one vote in secret. The ESR understands at the time of writing that ZEC is reversing this decision, and that training of polling staff is showing the polling booth's position so as to protect people's secret marking of their ballots. However, ZEC has made no formal announcement on these changes yet, and election situation room members will continue to monitor for consistency in training and on election day.
Inclusive electoral processes. The Constitution of Zimbabwe and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, to which Zimbabwe is signatory, upholds the rights of persons with disabilities. However, ZEC is not clearly made provision for how persons with disabilities should be assisted. ZEC states that special attention will be given to persons with disabilities on election day. It is to be feared that the lack of specification on what constitutes special attention will lead to varied approaches on election day. In addition, it is important for ZEC to take note that there are persons with disabilities with invisible disabilities such as deafness and epilepsy who may also need to be supported quickly to reduce any undue stress on them. In this matter, we have written to the ZEC and you are waiting for their response. We also note with dismay the dismissal of the High Court case in which Advocate Abraham Mateta, who is visually impaired, was seeking an order to compel ZEC to ensure that visually impaired persons vote using braille ballots or the tactical system. People with disabilities have also reported that this is a clear testimony that our legal system is oppressive and discriminatory to persons with disabilities, and that our judicial system is insensitive to the plight of the visually impaired electorate. And on results tallying in the announcement, ZEC has not issued procedures for tallying and announcement of results at the different levels for the different electoral races. This makes it difficult for observer organizations and for political parties to train their observers and party agents to observe the process. The ESR calls upon the ZEC to make sure that these procedures are made available immediately and to commit to posting all results on their website for verification. If these measures are not implemented, the election results will risk not being accepted.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I will now look at the follow-up steps, and members of the ESR have deployed over 6,000 observers to observe the electoral process, and the ESR will continue to provide information to citizens. Key issues the ESR will look out for as we approach election day. 1, the ESR urges political parties to campaign in peace and to be faithful to the letter and spirit of the peace pledge which they signed. And ZEC is urged to continue to engage with key stakeholders to build confidence that they are able to preside over a credible election. And the police are urged to investigate all cases of intimidation that are coming up as a way of ensuring that the environment is free for citizens to be able to cast their vote on July 30. The results management and results transmission process is critical in an election process, and as such, this has to be transparent. Members of the ESR will deploy observers to observe the process of tallying and tabulation of election results at the ward, constituency, provincial, and national centers. The post-election processes are critical, and the ESR urges political parties to follow the available conflict resolution mechanisms where disputes of election results can be lodged in order to uphold peace and the rule of law in the country. And there ends our statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? We'll take any questions from the floor that you will direct to our panelists.
I have a question. Yes. Hi, I'm Tamara Griffin with BuzzFeed News. The first question is more of a request. If I'd love to know everyone's names and spellings. I don't know if they were supposed to be on the placards or if we're getting them afterwards, but if you're able to write them or something, that would be helpful, I think, to a lot of us. But my question is about the point about the representation of women. I noted the statistic that 15% of National Assembly candidates in this election are women, but I'm curious what that percentage was 5 years ago, so that we can get a sense of the decrease.
Can you take the next question? We'll take a round of 4 questions. Any question? Yes.
Hi, I'm from Sadiq BCN, coming over from Malawi. But just wanted to find out, when we were reading the press statements, some press mentioned that statements from both ZEC and police are not in tandem. But I think details were not given. Would it be possible to appreciate what those are?
Thank you. Yes, over there.
Yes, what are the methods of information sharing?
So can you have your name first and organization?
What are the methods of communication is the US are using in terms of sharing out the election information? In terms of that, the other communities out there, especially in the rural sectors, who might want to receive some information from you. I think it might should not be information just in every area. How do you plan to share the information about?
Thank you. The last one. Okay, thank you. Check this one.
Thank you for those questions. I will take the one on the methods of what the election situation room is using to reach out to the rural areas. And also, as you are aware, the ESR has got 41 members, and a number of them are engaged in civic and voter education activities scattered around the country, who will do roadshows and face-to-face voter education activities. So we're on the ground, and they are also, in terms of the statements and these messages, we are also relying on media that will source to reach out to the wider communities in terms of our messaging.
Sorry, just intervention. So is social media part of the, for instance, WhatsApp?
Oh yes, it is.
Because I see there are a lot of some conflicting situations in terms of the WhatsApp uptake, messaging.
The conflicting messages, I didn't get that clearly.
Are you relying in terms of messaging through WhatsApp or SMS?
The WhatsApp messages we are using is for communication among the groups as an internal mechanism. But going to the public, we use public media and also radio, TV, and as I said, there are also members of our situation who are on the ground right now doing civic and voter education, so that we're meeting members of the public through our activities, and we also do have observers on the ground scattered around the country.
Thank you. We have recourse in this room. Can you assist us? You are part of the steering committee to respond to the question on women. Maybe as you prepare, the steering committee up front can take the other questions. Other colleagues.
So we're just waiting for an answer on the percentage decrease in women. That's there. And then I think the concern between the police statements and the ZEC statements are to do with last week's postal voting. And there was conflict all afternoon and the following day, and we sort of had some stability in those answers.
Okay, Nikos, are you ready to answer the decrease in women percentage? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, we can take another round of questions.
The increase in neglecting women and more or less like violence, maybe not physical but psychological violence through the social media has increased. And it's a big concern, especially women that are in positions.
Thank you for that. That's a comment. Yes.
My name is ZEC with the British Embassy. The 6,000 observers, have they already been deployed? Or will they be deployed over the next few days?
Okay, ZEC can take that. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, on the observers who are currently training, and soon after training they go to set for their accreditation, then immediately they are deployed. And we are deploying observers to where they can be able to watch, as we recruit them from the communities where they reside. So once they are trained, they get accredited and are deployed to be ready for the election.
And then through the We the People project, we have about 7,500 polling station-based community members who are phoning in reports of what is happening close to their polling stations. And we haven't answered on the women.
In 2013, of all aspiring candidates, there were 18% were women. In 2018, 15% are women. So already this is a 39% reduction in the participation of women, although the country is striving towards 50-50 representation.
What was the first figure?
18%.
1/8 from 2013.
Yes.
In addition to the short-term observers, SESME has got also 210 long-term observers who were deployed from May 2018, and they are also going to be deployed post-election period.
I just wanted to probably emphasize the issue of how women continue to face a lot of violence. I think with what we have said in the statement and the comment that has also come up. And I think our biggest concern is that we had the political parties sign the peace pledge. And in terms of the blocs building peace, I think they also speak about the issue of respect and tolerance. But we recognize that that aspect of this peace pledge is actually not being respected. When you look at the manner in which women are being treated on social media and also even in the print media, I think it's just sad that we continue to have these kinds of situations, and this could actually be a reason why we have such a low percentage in terms of participation of women. And also to add that the Zimbabwe Peace Project has more than 450 monitors on the ground who are also monitoring the environment.
We want to thank you very much for coming to our press conference. Just for your information, we also have a sub-information hub in Bulawayo.
So those who will be traveling to Bulawayo, you can interact with our other situation room hub in Bulawayo. Thank you very much to our panel. Do you have a question? Okay, a comment. Okay.
Yes, I'm representing the Zimbabwe Gender Commission. My name is Dr. Nyanguru. We also are having an observer, gender observatory, which is running and you're on the ground with you. We had a meeting with you this morning, and we are very, very happy with the work you're doing. We continue going forward for that.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of our press conference. Thank you. Okay, the statement is being distributed. You can get a copy outside.
Yeah.